Hey guys, welcome to episode number 539. Today is Tuesday, so I have another tank tip for you, and today I wanted to address the question of, are DIY projects bad for the aquarium hobby? Now, I've heard this question raised several times, specifically from aquarium brands, aquarium manufacturers, the people whose job it is to create aquarium products and sell them to stores that then sell those products to consumers. And usually the reasoning is, if people are building things themselves for their aquariums, instead of buying them, then the entire aquarium industry suffers because there's not as much money being spent. That money isn't going to support the hobby. It's not going to support future products which are being created, and the whole system starts to erode and fall apart. And I have a feeling that that answer is valid from that point of view, but I also have a feeling that most of you watching this video as hobbyists have a completely different point of view. And being a hobbyist myself, being a small business owner in the aquarium space, and even being a manufacturer of aquarium products myself, I feel like I want to answer that question from all three points of view, and answer that question in terms of what drives me with each one of those things. So, as a consumer, as a person that owns aquariums and it has built numerous fish rooms, and you know, as a personality here on YouTube, you guys know that everything that I do sort of centers around DIY. And so for me, from a hobbyist point of view, DIY is fantastic. It is the thing that allows me to save money. It is the thing that allows me to spend time with the hobby that I enjoy constructively, building things that I can be proud of, building things that I can share with other people so that they can build those things as well and get benefit from the time and energy that I've spent and invested in my hobby. And that's really the entire reason why I've built this YouTube channel to begin with, is to share those ideas, and hopefully those ideas will spread. And you know, that's sort of, I think, the hobbyist perspective. And that perspective changes when you are a small business. Obviously, if you have a fish store, you have a lot of overhead, you have inventory, you want to make sure that the products that you're buying are actually selling, and you want to make sure you're able to make a profit on those products. And if hobbyists are building those things themselves instead of buying them, then there's a problem. And obviously, if you're the one manufacturing those products, if they're being built in people's homes DIY style, there's a problem there as well. But from that perspective, things have changed, and I think, but the one thing that hasn't changed is the fact that there's a reason why people are building things instead of buying them. And I think that is the important thing to focus on. It's the why. It's why are people doing it? And as a manufacturer of aquarium products, as a business, an aquarium business, that's the important question. Why are people building it themselves rather than buying it? And that is going to have a different answer depending on what the situation is. And there are a lot of different situations to consider. But I think if you take all of those questions and all of those answers, you can get quite a bit of feedback to inform your research and development and your next product innovation. So the aquarium hobby itself is kind of unique in the fact that oftentimes you start with one tank, and then you get 2 tanks, and then you get 3 tanks, and then you have a whole basement full of aquariums. And there's a lot of stuff to buy for an aquarium. You need the tank, you need the stand, you need the hood, you need the light, the gravel, the heater, the filter, everything, right? The fish, the decorations. And that stuff can get really expensive. Now, if you only have one tank, that might not be a problem. For instance, if all you have is one saltwater tank, maybe you pony up the money and you buy a Kessel Light, something that is really high quality, but really expensive. And that might be fine because you're only buying one of them. However, if you look at my fish room, I have a lot of freshwater tanks. I'm not trying to grow any plants. I'm not trying to do anything fancy, but I still need light over my aquariums. So I've decided to go DIY and build LED shop lights. A much, much more efficient way to spend my money, and it allows me to light the entire fish room. There's no way I could afford a Kessel Light over every single one of my aquariums. And I think the premium brands understand that they're sort of after that person that has one tank and they're buying the really expensive thing for that one tank. However, a lot of hobbyists have more than one aquarium, and oftentimes those big purchases, those really high quality purchases, become too expensive when you start multiplying that by the number of tanks that you have. Really important to keep in mind. I think another driving force behind DIY is the features or the customization. If you have something that is out of the box that you just plug and play, and you add it to your system, that's fine. But if that doesn't meet your needs, it's probably something that you're less likely to go buy. If it doesn't do exactly what you need it to do, then you're less likely to purchase it, right? So that's where, you know, you're willing to spend more money if you're getting something, if you're getting exactly what you want. A good example of that would be an aquarium, right? If you go into your big box store or your mom and pop store and you just pick up a glass aquarium that's sitting on the shelf, that might be fine if you're going to use a hang-on back filter. But if you wanted to do a sump, if you wanted to do something really fancy down below, you're going to need to drill that tank or have an overflow box installed, or you know, you might be looking for a specific size tank or specific dimensions which aren't readily available. And if that's what you want and that's what you're after, you're willing to spend the money, but it's something that's not necessarily available sitting on a shelf. So you're willing to go to the person that maybe manufactures that thing, customize it to exactly what you want before you're willing to buy that. And if you have the expertise, maybe instead of going to someone else, you try doing it yourself. To varying levels of success. So depending on how comfortable you are with different things will sort of depend on where your line is in terms of what you're willing to build yourself versus what you're willing to go out and buy. So there is definitely a price issue. There's definitely a quantity issue. There's definitely a customization or a feature set issue. And there's always a quality issue. From a small business standpoint, from a aquarium store standpoint, you are always looking to stock the highest quality products at the lowest price possible. That's it. It's the things that move, it's the things that make you money. From a manufacturer standpoint, you're looking to manufacture things that don't cost you a lot of money to produce, but have a really good margin. And what you need to do as a manufacturer of aquarium products is essentially figure out why people are building it versus buying it from you. And if you can do that, if you can answer those questions, I think you can design a better product that more people are going to be willing to go out and buy. But as I've said, the aquarium hobby is unique in the fact that once you get past one tank and you're talking about 10 or 20, all of those things start to go out the window, and all of those decisions start to be driven by one thing, which is the price point. And if you can always do it yourself for less, then that is often the thing that you're going to gravitate towards. So that's something that needs to be kept in mind, and that's something that I don't think can always be solved. And I feel like that is the real spot where DIY has its place in the aquarium hobby, and it always will. And it's just sort of a fact of life. It's just part of the equation of the aquarium hobby, and hopefully more people will do DIY when they feel comfortable to do it, and buy products when they don't feel comfortable doing it, or when they feel like they can get a better product at a better price and get it right away, as opposed to spending the time trying to make it themselves. Anyways, guys, that's my perspective. That's my point of view. I would love to know down below what your point of view is on the topic. Do you feel like DIY is good or bad for the aquarium hobby? List a few projects that you have done DIY style down in the comments down below, and let me know how you feel. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys later.